Welcome back to the Scissortail Podcast, episode 12 now. Your host, Porter Cunningham here, joined as always by my good friend Will Bowersox. Will, say hello to the people.
Greetings, people. Greetings, Porter. I have to say I am feeling quite good after both a delicious sandwich and a glorious Rayo victory over the hated Miami Flowriders.
Miami Flowrider FC. Yeah, great 3-2 victory on a Friday night match. We don't have any corrections from last week's episode, or week before last, I guess. We're taking 2 weeks off, so let's jump right into discussion about the game itself.
Didn't know what to expect, and what we saw was, well, even before that, so let's talk about the weather. So,
about a 90-minute delay.
90-minute rain delay clearly had an impact on the game, both from the standpoint of, the field and the pitch, but also just, I think any team would tell you that 90 minutes to get ready to go and get revved up and then stop. And then 90 minutes again is just not good. The stadium is pretty sweet.
Love the stadium.
Love the stadium. The field, I get it. You're playing in a football stadium, but it makes me glad that we have at the Yukon the grass.
Yeah, as previously discussed, the alternative of painting over the football grid lines looks really, really ugly.
Yeah, but it did. But the thing is, both of these teams were expansions. It was their first game. So I didn't know what to expect, partially because they're both expansion sites, but I definitely did not watch any film on Miami FC. But in the past, we've seen Rayo come out and play 4-2-3-1, which is a more definitely more attacking. And so what we did end up seeing was Rayo initially came out in a 4-3-3, which I found interesting, right? But really what they ended up doing was sitting in a 5-3-1-1, which was one guy sitting at midfield and then the 5-3-1 beneath him, and just basically playing defense and sitting back all game, hoping to get goals on the counter. And like I said, I'm not with the team. I'm not training them. I hadn't seen Miami play. So on the one hand, I like that Marcina is tactically flexible, pending his judgment as coach based on who we're playing. But I also felt it's really dangerous. And yes, Rayo won, but if you want to see the danger play out, go watch the first half of Everton Man United from Saturday's FA Cup semifinal. Because Everton did the exact same thing, and unlike Rayo, they just got down early, and so they had to adjust their play.
Right. So let me take a step back for a second, because in past episodes we've recapped games by going through the goals and the discipline, and I think we both agree that if you want that kind of coverage, you can go read
it's readily available.
The NASL write-up on the game. We're going to skip that. So we're going to go basically directly into Tech Talk. And then...
Yeah, sorry I didn't set that up.
That's okay. It's all right. Tech Talk, not electronics, soccer talk.
Soccer talk,
is how
tactics.
You said it.
Tactics.
So, yeah, agree 100%. We saw it the whole game, right? Miami, without having Jack in front of me, Miami controlled the ball. They dominated possession. It felt like, at least. They dominated possession. They had a ton of chances.
They lived in Rayo's third.
The only two goals in the run of play were counter goals, which is probably fine. I think if you're going to play a 5-3-1-1, you better already have the lead. So the first goal from Robbie Finley allowed that 5-3-1-1 to be successful to some extent.
Yeah, going back to the Marcina's pregame quote, which was something to the tune of, "We trust our system and what the preparation we've done for this week." So clearly he adjusted things for this game. He saw something in Miami FC's style of play, which is pretty attacking, and he had conviction in it. And if say that we had lost or tied, it's a different conversation perhaps, but we won. And takeaway for me, they got the W. That's great. We're tactically flexible, and I liked that. I think the team is also, it's early in the season, maybe it is a little banged up. So we saw Van Schaik come in to play in the left back role.
What'd you think about Van Schaik?
I don't know. I think he got better as the game went on. I think that if we had a fully healthy team, I'm not sure he plays. But having said that, if we were going to come out and play a 4-3-3 and then like a 5-3-1-1, maybe situationally he's the guy. But he played. I mean, he had a tough matchup, right? Like one of their best players was basically what Rayo was doing was sitting in the middle of the field, forcing Miami FC out to the wings to like
playing a lot like Carolina did last week, right? Or 2 weeks ago, like we discussed. Clog up the midfield, force them to play wing play.
And so, look, in that style of play, your left back and your right back are going to be in a lot of ISO moments, which they may not necessarily be in as many of in a different tactical style of play. So he played fine. He played fine. He got better as the game went on. He made some obvious mistakes, but it didn't cost
first game jitters, maybe.
Maybe a little bit. I mean, maybe. I'm glad Samers didn't play. I didn't know what the field was like, but just looking at it, I wouldn't want to risk someone playing, especially...
From the reactions of some of the Rayo players, I mean, it's so funny to hear that there were complaints about the Rayo field at the beginning of the year. Yep. And I think so far as artificial turf goes, and I'm careful to say artificial turf, not field turf, because that's the brand name, right?
Right.
So far as artificial turf goes, I think by the end of the season we will find that Rayo has the best artificial turf in the league, because if you looked at the way that Robbie went down a couple times and kind of looked at his arms like,
what are these black pellets on me?
Yeah, I mean, just
I saw someone,
stupid rubber pellets everywhere.
I saw someone on Twitter was like, goalies shouldn't be allowed to wear black pants, like shouldn't be allowed to wear full sleeves and black and like long pants. It's like, well, you shouldn't have black pellets on your field, right? I wouldn't want those on me anyway.
Being a goalie myself in indoor, I can attest that after the game, you spend any amount of time on the ground, you go to take a shower and you undress yourself, and it's black pellets everywhere.
Yes. I thought Miami. One thing that Rayo almost got caught out on a couple times was playing around with the ball in the back.
Agree.
So Miami played a brilliant counter-pressing style, and it caused us a lot of problems. And it's a contributing factor to why we didn't have very much possession in the game.
Yeah. Do you think that's a function of what we're calling the five at the back that we were playing? I mean, you have five at the back. You don't have a whole lot of midfield, so it kind of lends itself to play around with the ball in the back a little bit.
Absolutely. And what I saw happen a number of times is the goalie would get the ball, would win the ball and a tackle in the back, and they would immediately try to break by playing the ball up to Finley, who's the point man at like half field. But he's up there by himself, and as soon as he gets the ball, he's got 4 or 5 players converging on him. So rather than like playing an outlet pass to Forbes or Michel on the left, he had to drop it back. But he was dropping it back like probably 20 or 30 yards. And so we didn't really have a good chance to like get possession and build up play.
Big open space in the midfield.
Big open space. But
so counterpoint to that, we heard from an unnamed source at the Carolina game at home that they were kind of hoping that Robbie would play in more of a true striker role without Ryan Johnson this game. Ryan was on the bench with the 4-3-3 instead of the 4-2-3-1. Like you said, Robbie playing a true target man striker role. As soon as he found any sort of space, he puts a great shot on net and it goes in. And I think when I first saw the shot, I was kind of like, how do you let that go in? But then when I saw the alternate angle, the keeper was shielded. He almost, not really bent it, but
well, he had 3 defenders on him.
I mean, he definitely put it through the eye of the needle there, threaded the eye of the needle, and found that just inside of the post. So
shooters got to shoot.
Yeah,
I like it. I thought, it was good. It was good. And obviously Forbes' goal was brilliant. Just caught him on the break and got a breakaway, used his speed. And I think it's really easy to think if you're in a one-on-one with a keeper, you're going to score automatically, but it's actually quite difficult. So I thought his finish was great.
Yeah, I'll be very surprised if we don't see that a lot this season. It's going to be a big threat to every team who plays, Billy Forbes on the break.
Yeah.
You play the ball into space, and Billy just takes care of business. I mean, he beat 2 or 3 guys on that possession, so exciting to see that. From the Miami FC side, Svitonic, however you want to pronounce it, with the C or not, took him off in the first half pretty early. I guess Nesta didn't really like what he was seeing out of his striker that had scored 3 goals in 3 games up to that point.
Did he take him off after they were down a goal?
Yes, I think so. I think he changed something at that point, but I wasn't really paying attention to Miami, so just something that I noted.
Yeah. I mean, Miami played great. They're not a bad team at all. Sometimes games don't go your way.
So
their second goal is fantastic off the corner.
Yeah.
By the way, that's the second conceded corner goal that Rayo has let slip. I don't like that. It's a bad stat, bad trend.
Well, and we noticed in the very first game that Rayo seemed the stats said otherwise, but Rayo seemed to be losing more. I think OptiJack calls them aerial duels than they were winning. So certainly something to keep an eye on. We know set pieces are only such a small fraction of the game.
Of course, right.
But there you go. There's another set piece goal against Rayo, and then the fortunate penalty, I guess you could say.
For me, by the way, let's talk about that.
Okay.
That's a penalty for me, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I mean, you're through on goal. The foul begins outside the box but continues into the box. I think by the letter of the law, it's a penalty.
I actually don't see how you claim it's not a penalty.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly, Homer call of the week here, right? I get it, but I don't even understand why there were people... Like, the Miami FC commentator was talking about how they got gypped by the refs. Again, quote unquote. I just don't see how. I mean, imagine if the roles were reversed, what he'd be saying. So yeah. I just can't see how you don't call that a penalty.
I mean, you certainly, as a defender, if you're beat there, you don't stick your foot out. We learned that in week 1. You just, if you do, you're subjecting yourself to the referee's decision. A couple of other minor things that I want to talk about before we move on from last week's game.
Great.
The fans at Miami had over 10,000 at their first game. I don't think anyone's still got an official count from this game, but it's well under 3,000. Any concern there if you're a Miami FC fan, or do you just chalk it up to the weather and move on?
Yeah, I think you chalk a lot of it up to the weather. The real question is how many people were tailgating or planning to come and then just either left or didn't come.
Yeah.
That's what we don't really know.
Yeah.
But if someone from Miami FC was, boots on the ground and says that, there were a bunch of families there, but they just left. And by the way, I don't blame them, right? I mean, if I had like a 2-year-old...
If I'm at a game with my 5-year-old son and it starts pouring down rain and they're saying 90-minute delay, I can't entertain my son for 90 minutes before the game.
It's like, how do you feel about a little early nap time tonight, Billy?
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's a fluke deal, but there's so much we don't know. Did they, quote-unquote, paper the stadium for game 1?
Was it all the babes and they didn't have babes in game 2?
There are more established, more successful, higher attendance drawing sports teams that have had, relative to the attendance capacity, have had their attendance decimated by rainstorms right before kickoff or tip-off that have, caused people to go home. So it happens.
Yep. Last question. If you're a linesman, not a referee, not the central referee, a linesman, do you prefer to have football? You asked me this question. If you're a player, do you like to have football grid lines, to make a more precise run or precise pass? If you're a linesman, do you prefer to have football grid lines on the field?
I think there were a few plays where you could tell the linesman was using. He made some offsides calls that were not questionable, but they were close, and you could tell he was relying on the lines. But I would rather just have different shades of grass like you see on TV every week in England.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Certainly looks better to have just true grass. Right. But anything else about Miami FC you want to talk about?
They're a good team. We'll see what happens going forward with them. Someone was saying, okay, this is my last comment. Someone said, Miami FC has arguably been the better team, but hasn't won a game in their 4 games that they have played. Well, 4 games is a lot of games. And if they were the better team, they would have won. Especially since they had the ball so much in Rayo's third. So if they were really the better team, they would have won.
Yeah.
Call me a homer. I'm a homer.
I know. I agree. I agree 100% with that sentiment. So.
All right. Well, anyway, that wraps up segment 1, Tactics Talk. We will come back to discuss something that has yet to be determined. We'll figure it out on the break.
It's Indy 11.
Indy 11. Stay with us. We will return. Conga's in.
Welcome back. Segment 2, Episode 12, Scissortail Podcast. Porter Cunningham here with Will Bower Sox. We have moved on from Miami FC from the first road win and first win in Rayo OKC history. We're now moving on to home game number 3. It's match day 5 for the NASL. Indy 11 coming to town. So Indy 11 brings a team that has no losses so far. 2 draws. They drew Tampa Bay in the first week, and Ottawa 1-1 second week. They miraculously, or I guess very excitingly, beat the New York Cosmos in week 3. They were down 1-0 in the waning stages of the game and came back to win 2-1. So,
love that.
Pretty exciting game to be at if you're an Indy fan. Couple of players to watch out for. Iman Zaid, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I don't have the media guide for this week yet, so he scored both goals against the Cosmos.
All right. What position does he play?
I believe he's a forward or a central midfielder, maybe. Last played for Sabah in the Malaysian Premier League, Irish forward, who has played internationally with Libya. So, what are you looking forward to Saturday?
I'm looking forward, honestly, I haven't seen Indy 11 play, and I'm not going to break down their film. I'm really just excited to, I guess, all the off-the-field stuff. So we've heard through the Twitterverse that Indy's going to bring down like 30 to 50 supporters, is the rumor.
The Brickyard Battalion, yes, is traveling.
Great name for a supporters
en
group,
masse.
by the way. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting some. So it's the closest away game for their city and ours for the time being, and I'm excited to meet some guys that live in a different city, and I want to look forward to hanging out with them on Friday night, whatever we end up doing. Would love maybe to pick their brains a bit about building out a supporters group, or have the people with the Red Army do so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking
so this is Sunday the 24th, so still a lot to be decided, but they'll be coming into town Friday.
Yep.
And they have already reached out to us, what should we do Friday night? And I think we're going to do a little joint get-together Friday night. And then Saturday, game day.
Yeah, there should be a pregame tailgate that the Red Army's going to host.
A good-sized tailgate.
So really excited for that. And
there's also the Oklahoma Blood Institute is going to have their RV on site at Miller Stadium. So we're throwing it out there. Brickyard Battalion, if you want to donate literally to a good cause and donate a pint and then drink multiple pints, it
is $2 beer night.
As I said, your alcohol efficiency, or I guess your ability.
Keep it safe.
Keep it safe because you donate blood and then you go hammer some beers and it hits you a lot faster than you're used to.
Which we should talk about this later in Free Talk, the beer thing.
Yes.
This is we don't have a blanket exemption. It is a 1-game thing, so I feel weird even having to say this, but hopefully no one...
In Free Talk, we will talk about Speakeasy FC, the new team that's playing at Miller Stadium, I guess.
Yeah, right. Okay, anyway, returning to the point. Yes, I'm definitely excited to see Rayo play again, and I want to see how how the game tactics change and the lineup changes, and hopefully it'll be good weather and we can actually see attacking football. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of weirdly looking forward to meeting people that are also part of this crazy NASL experiment and learn from them and get to know some cool people.
Yeah. I know. I hate to consistently say this, but our coverage of NASL teams will get better in the fall season. But
maybe.
Yeah. Could possibly get better in the fall season. It's kind of like as we watch them play, I feel like I learn the teams because I'm, like you said, we're not going to study film pregame. This is not our only job, but we're going to watch the game and we're going to remember who the key players are.
But if someone wanted to make it our only job, I'd be interested.
We'd be open to that possibility of
giving us money to watch soccer,
to be the video editing preparation breakdown guys. Worked for Eric Spoelstra. It could work for us. Coach Marcina, we're coming for your job. Not really. Please don't stare into my soul. Anyways, Indy's Saturday. Looking forward to the tailgate. I'm looking forward to doing a good thing, giving some blood. I'm looking forward to $2 beers, which we will, as you said, we'll discuss further later. $2 beer night Saturday night. The team is playing the PC card, and they're not going to spread the good word about the cheap beer
But we will.
too much, but we will. So it's $2 beer Saturday night. So come out to Miller Stadium.
And let's talk about, you can tailgate in the parking lot, which would be great. And then in the stadium, this long-rumored, long-awaited Biergarten.
Die Biergarten.
Yes, Die Biergarten will be open.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We won't be able to go down there except post-game, I suppose.
Sure.
But I don't know that I would want to spend a lot of time in the beer garden. I want to actually watch the game.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will be pre-game and then have a beer during warm-ups in the stadium.
Right.
A beer or two during, and then maybe a beer at halftime.
Take it easy.
But yeah, looking forward to it.
Cool.
I'm actually surprisingly we talked about this, but I mean the bug has bit me. You know, we cover this team
on a strictly professional amateur basis,
semi-professional basis, and met the players, and we were like, yeah, they're gonna play. So what? And now during the off week, I was like, what am I going to do?
We were jumping around and high-fiving when they scored on Friday.
We're media members. We can't do that.
Right. Yeah, well, keep it objective. Yeah, keep it objective.
I guess we can do that at home, just not in the press box.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah, just looking forward to some NASL soccer this weekend. So we'll see everybody at Miller Stadium on Saturday.
Yeah, so that wraps up segment 2, which is our very thorough and detailed breakdown of the Indy 11. And we will come back with a quick segment 3 to talk about Free Talk in the last 2 weeks that were for Rayo OKC. Conga's in.
Welcome back. Free Talk, episode 12, Scissortail Podcast. Big day in Canadian County this week, Will. Yosemite Sam, Sheriff Edwards, Randall Edwards.
Justice was served.
Justice was served to him on a hot, steaming plate.
On a hot, steaming day in Yukon.
So, I'm sure everybody who's listening to this knows this because all 150 people that listen to us, but
we certainly were unfiltered during our Twitter coverage.
I mean,
so let's back up.
Yeah,
let's pretend that an alien has asked us what's going on.
Okay.
Let's pretend that someone drove down from Indy and didn't know what we're talking about.
Sure.
So what are we talking about?
So, first game, April 2nd. Sometime in mid-March, the team, Rayo OKC front office, from its inception, since day one when they signed the lease with UConn
as a key part of the sales pitch from UConn to Rayo OKC for why they should play their games at the stadium.
Yes, was a full professional atmosphere, quote unquote, as the team describes it, which includes the sale of 3-2 beer at the stadium, which is not even, I mean, they're not serving hard liquor drinks, they're not serving High Point beer,
it's
as
like
others may call
Light
it,
or like a Miller Lite.
Right. So mid-March, they file the permits, all the applicable permits they hire a third party to manage the sale of the 3-2 beer.
During the normal course of business, everything went through
perfectly fine. Nobody hears anything. The school board unanimously voted to allow it as part of the lease agreement with the team. The night before the home opener, for whatever reason, Sheriff Randall Edwards, the Canadian County Sheriff.
Quick disclaimer: so Yukon is a city within the county of Canadian County.
Sure.
FYI.
Yep.
So he's not like the Yukon City Sheriff, but it's the same deal, just different name.
Sure. He has the governance for the entire county, which includes the city of Yukon. Somebody tells him, and it was probably one of the parents or teachers or whatever from the school. They're worried because they're going to sell beer at Miller Stadium at the Yukon Public School, Yukon High School, and that's got to be against the law. So he goes to his buddy, the judge. They file an injunction. Boom, no beer at the first game. Obviously, because our courts work the way they work, this second game was 1 week later. No beer at that game either. So finally, there was a hearing this last Wednesday, April 20th, to decide the legality of selling beer at Miller Stadium by Rayo OKC.
The obvious question, I guess the first question that I have is, why is a sheriff taking this action in the first place?
Agreed?
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's over. It's over for now. And what happened is the court ruled in favor of the team, so we'll be able to sell beer, but they granted the quote-unquote waiver or whatever. Or I guess you could say they reaffirmed the existing waiver because it already got granted the first time around on a one game basis.
Essentially, Essentially, they said this permit to sell beer as part of your food and beverage package is good for the April 30th game. And
which is a question I have, because when they initially got this policy set up, was it reaffirming on a one-game basis, or was it, it's a blanket? And if so, why would the judge not reaffirm the existing policy?
They have to file, for every home game, they file a permit separately.
Okay, I understand.
That's the rule. So even like, I don't know if that's the rule specifically for this, but every game is a separate event. It's a special event, and that's where the lawyers were really hitting into the legality of the action. Is the law says in Oklahoma, the sale of beer or alcohol cannot be the focal point of the event. But if there is a special event which, as an ancillary part of it, has the sale of beer or alcohol, it's allowed. So the big push in the courtroom was, it's a soccer game, first and foremost. It's entertainment.
Which clearly,
it's professional sports.
Clearly it is.
Right. And
as evidenced by the fact that during the first two games, everyone wasn't standing in line at a non-existent beer queue.
Sure.
They were actually watching the games.
Sure. The front office is respecting the people that protested. There were 103 protests filed, was the number that they threw out there. One of which was the sheriff. Others were concerned parents, teachers, who said, there's going to be all kinds of drunk people leaving the game. What if my kid's leaving debate practice on a Saturday night at the game? What about the Wednesday games? What if there's events still going on at the school? Which are, I think, somewhat valid concerns, but to assume that the front office and the vendor especially, since they hired Double Shot LLC, the vendor, who has very much experience, a lot of experience, I should say, in serving alcohol, they're going to know when people are overserved. They're going to know.
And here's my question: is why was there a protest lodged now? Like, there was already a vetting process with a lodge your protest section to it, I presume.
Sure. I mean, they did. I mean, like I said, they went in front of the school board. The school board voted unanimously. They posted everything as soon as they were done. So mid-March. So they had half a month to look at it, and then I guess something happened. Anyways,
I just find the morality. It's not like we're debating constitutional law. Like the argument is a moral one.
It's pretty hilarious when it boils down to it. I mean, I was there for the first hour and a half of the hearing, and like I said,
thank you for going.
The sheriff and his representation were very archaic and were quite hilarious. In fact, they elicited chuckles from the courtroom whenever, for their opening arguments, which, by the way, I should say, the judge opened it up for opening arguments, and the Rayo defense or representation said, look, let's just get started. Let's just get down to the meat of this. And then the sheriff's defense said, no. We really need to set a frame of reference for all this. So the Rayo guys get up there and say who we are, what we did, what were this all about. And then the sheriff's defense gets up there and essentially says, if you allow beer to be sold at this... it was a continuation of his quote. And yes, the exact quote was, to end his opening statement was, if you allow beer to be sold at Yukon Public School, you're gonna turn this fine athletic facility into just another speakeasy. So at that point, we all laughed. I mean,
laughing at, not laughing with.
Laughing at, and I mean, even some of the undersheriffs who were there in the courtroom could be seen chuckling at that statement.
It's a giant leap, as discussed before. Giant leap in logic.
Anyways, I was there for Brad Lund. He was the witness, the first witness that the I don't know, however you want to call it. The team called, and then Eric and Brad did a great job, and he pretty much shot down the sheriff's representation. He tried to make the link that OU and OSU have great attendance, even though their games are dry.
And they're not professional.
First of all, they're not professional, so you probably could have objected to that.
Right.
Second of all, they're not completely dry. As Brad pointed out, the high dollar payers, the suites, have full bars in their suites. Third of all, tailgating is essential to those matches.
And it isn't just a question of OU's discretion not selling beer throughout the concourse, because there are multiple stadiums in the NCAA, on campus or off, I don't think it matters, that do choose to sell beer to the general attendance concourse. But, okay, did it come out that the sheriff is basically a teetotaler?
That's fine.
I feel like I was reading quotes from the Oklahoma guy, the Daily Oklahoman guy. What's his name?
Ben Felder.
Ben Felder.
Shout out to Ben Felder.
Yeah, he did a great job covering it. But the sheriff's argument was that basically, or one of the things that came out was like, all the evil that he sees in the course of his job, so much of it is tied to like alcohol.
Sure.
And I think it came out that he himself completely abstains from drinking, and so he therefore wants to impress.
Yes, what it said was he's completely against alcohol by the drink and has been since the time he took office. So if it were up to him, basically Canadian County would be a dry county, essentially. Right. I mean, you could, I guess, package stores or liquor stores would still be open. You could drink in your own home, but you could not go to a bar or a restaurant or whatever and order a beer or order a Jack and Coke or whatever you wanted.
Okay, let's stop beating the dead horse, because clearly, like, it's a farcical argument.
Yeah,
like,
it's hilarious.
My big question is, why is the sheriff taking this action in the first place? It's not his job. And why was this not, why was this... It's not like they flied by night and, like, had a secret closed hearing in the first place.
It's probably because he ran out of cars to stop on I-40 and civil forfeit all of the stuff in their car.
Yeah, so, point of fact, Canadian County leads the state in civil forfeiture. Is a brutal practice.
Which, if you do not know about, we're not going to expand on today, but you can go over to the Unidentified Flying podcast and listen to, I believe it's episode 20 or 21.
Unclear.
They discuss civil forfeiture in its entirety, and you should go listen to it. And just glad to be done with Yosemite Sam, hopefully, for now.
Look, okay. Moving ahead to what I'm looking forward to, look, I'm not going to try to, like, house 9 beers and then drive home. Like, I'm a responsible adult that doesn't have to, like...
And if they have a problem with that, they should go down the street to JoJo's bar, which is literally a half mile away.
Yeah.
And take it up with them, because you could just as easily do it there.
It's too close to the school. They should close JoJo's.
Yeah, exactly.
Look. If I'm standing in the supporters group, if I'm, like, hanging out on a Saturday night, I'm going to drink a beer and relax.
Yeah.
It's like case closed. So, look, I'm looking forward to the atmosphere. I'm pretty confident that, like, hooliganism is not going to break out. They're not going to burn down. It's not going to be a drunken mob burning down the Yukon High Stadium. Again, what was my catchphrase from a few episodes back? Manufactured controversies. Like,
yeah.
I'm over it. Let's play soccer. This is all a comical farce to me.
So, that being said, let's get into some of the good stuff to talk about. I really want to briefly discuss some of the promotions the team has going on.
Yes.
Because since we are such big corporate shills.
Right.
But in the team's defense, they're taking the high road.
Yes.
They had planned from the beginning for this Saturday's game against Indy 11 to be $2 beer night. It's college night and $2 beer night. So, with your college or Votech ID, you get an East Stand ticket for $5.
Okay.
Or a West Stand ticket for $5 off.
Okay.
Because those are the more premium tickets.
Okay, yes.
It's also $2 beers.
Excellent.
So, the team's not going to say that because, like I said, they don't want to gloat over their win.
Right.
But we will. So, come out to Miller Stadium and enjoy $2 beers.
Hey, if you want to buy full price beers, I'm sure they'll let you.
Exactly. Here's a couple other cool promotions they're going to do throughout the year, and we'll tweet about this too.
Yes.
The July 2nd game is Independence Night. So, if your name matches a president, I'm assuming a president of the United States of America, a president of the United States of America's name completely. If your name is Abraham Lincoln,
does it specify?
You get in free. It says full president name.
What if my name is Hugo Chavez? I'm the president of Venezuela.
I don't think that's going to count.
Okay.
I think it's the USA, but to be determined. If you have a partial presidential name, so
I do.
William Bowersox, not to be confused with William Clinton, you would get a ticket for $5 off.
Boom.
For Premium West, West Stand, and all East Stand. So pretty much any ticket you can buy.
Go America.
Both Wednesday games in July. Wild Wednesday.
Is that topless night for the ladies?
You pay $10. No. For $10, you get to pull a ticket for a random location of the entire West or entire East Stands.
Wow.
So that means basically
you're
going to get in for cheaper than normal anyways.
That's truly wild.
Yes. But you also have a chance of getting one of those premium West stands. This is a chair back. I mean, nobody's going to encroach on your butt room. There's another College Night $2 beer in October. There's a Halloween themed game on October 30th. A couple other cool stuff, but mainly just want to talk about this weekend.
All about the premise. So it makes sports fun.
Indeed.
Get crazy.
Okay, so back to the topic at hand. Obviously, we've got Indy 11 at home this Saturday, April 30th, followed by 2 road games. Saturday, May 7th, we'll be at Jacksonville, or Rayo. Well, we won't be. We'll be here. Saturday, May 14th at Tampa Bay, and back home Saturday, May 21st against Fort Lauderdale. So come out this Saturday, or you won't be able to get to see Rayo in person again until close to the end of May.
A lot of games coming up, but this pleases me.
Yeah, indeed.
All right, well, thank you for tuning in and listening. If you still are, if you want to track us down and make fun of us, you can listen. You can check us out on Twitter at @scissortail_pod. And yeah, check us out. Thanks for listening.
Is it underscore? I thought it's just at @scissortailpod.
If you search Scissortail Podcast, you'll find our account.
You can also Google us, Gmail us at scissortailpod@gmail.com. We're on SoundCloud. We're on iTunes. We're on Midfield Press.
Midfieldpress.com.
You can check us out on K98 Talk now, too.
Yes. You can buy T-shirts of our creation at Scissortail Tees.
Scissortail Tees.
That's teespring.com/stores/Scissortail Tees.
All right.
I think that's it.
Cool.
All right. Thank you for listening. We will be back to talk about the Indy game next week. Have a great week. See you later. Bye.